From plexiglass to Wi-Fi, a lot has changed about school this year, but there's one thing that didn't change: state testing.
The tests are a federal requirement, but Local 12 Investigates found Ohio superintendents are worried about more than just the results this year. Here's Christian Hauser.
This is much more than a pencil and paper, filling in a bubble, or a question and answer.
We can't fight COVID. I can't fight some of the repercussions that come from COVID.
For 3 weeks in October and November, schools around the state administer third grade reading assessments, despite the fact that many students have not been in a traditional learning setting since winter of second grade.
We never had a full second grade, and third grade has been a hybrid model.
Local 12 Investigates talked with more than a dozen people. Most are concerned not with the results, but with the accountability standards for schools that are attached. Testing is a federal mandate under the Every Student Succeeds Act. Almost everyone we spoke with says yearly testing gives districts a measuring stick.
These are the standards. This is what they measure you by.
But 2020 hasn't been a regular year. That's because the Ohio Department of Education says only 353 school districts are operating with in-person classes 5 days a week. 45 districts are learning fully remote, and 211 districts are hybrid, with a blend of in-person and remote learning. So how do you test students who are remote?
I cannot allow an online student who's not attending on site access the assessment from home. They have to be here.
Manchester has 44 third grade students. At least 10 didn't take the test. Those kids won't necessarily fail, though, because a new law gives educators the final decision to decide whether a student should move on to fourth grade, regardless of the test. But it doesn't waive the accountability measures.
Why are we focusing so much energy on the tests and holding schools and students accountable if it's just a show?
Several superintendents questioned if testing this year was a waste of money. A district administers more than 30 assessments to kids every year for a total bill of $57 million. The Ohio Education Association has long had concerns about the emphasis placed on testing. That concern has heightened with the rise in coronavirus cases.
Teachers are working extremely hard to meet the diverse needs of students, whether they're teaching through a computer screen or teaching through a mask, you're not going to get reliable data when it comes to tests.
And that's the biggest concern for many school districts across the state. A poor grade could allow a student to leave the district using a voucher, costing the district federal dollars.
It's not just, oh, you got a bad grade.
And I think there is growing consensus around this, that tests are not used for accountability purposes while we continue to struggle through this pandemic.
Senate Bill 358 would in part eliminate the accountability measure for schools, but it's still sitting with the Senate's Education Committee. When we asked Governor Mike DeWine about the testing, here's what he had to say.
I don't know. We'll have to look at that. Yeah, I just don't know. We'll get back to you, though.
Manchester's district-wide poverty rate is 94.4%. 220 of Manchester's 735 students don't have adequate Wi-Fi. So is Manchester at an economic disadvantage compared to schools with greater resources?
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt about that.
Typically, Manchester tests its third graders across 2 days. This year, with the extra safety precautions in place, it's taken them 9.
I'm afraid this year, just because of the lack of face-to-face instruction, I think our achievement levels are going to go down. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong.
Christian Hauser, Local 12 News.
We reached out to the governor's office by email to see if they looked more into our question. They have yet to respond. We know there is a lot to understand in regard to that state testing. Go to local12.com, click on Investigates to submit your questions.